Welcome back. Hello. Um, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back. In our last video, we talked about um, taking action. We're still in this series of New Me. We are not waiting for 2025 for January to start and get ahead of changing and making a change in our lives, making improvements in our lives. Um, and so this is part 2 of our New Me series. And we're going to talk about 4 simple ways, practical ways of sustaining the improvements or the changes that we've made in our lives. So just to recap, last video we talked about the 3 ways to take action to get started in that change, into that new you, right? So when we said that Jesus very, very wisely taught us all 3 steps in one sentence, he said, um, stand up, pick up your mat, and go and walk. So those are our 3 practical steps. We were going to get aligned. We were going to get in position. We're going to stand up and take ownership of who we are, where we are in our current situation. We are going to pick up our mat. So we are going to bring all of who we are. We're not trying to have a clean slate. We are bringing all of ourselves, our wins, our losses, our failures, our successes, all of that we are carrying with us, and we are going to walk. We are going to move forward. We are going to take action one step at a time, staying grounded and bringing someone with us. Walk with someone. So that was from our last video. This video is going to talk about how then are we going to sustain these changes now that we've decided. In the last video, I was talking about, for me, it's starting this podcast. Why did I want to start this podcast? I want to have a creative outlet of sharing my journey with my own faith. I wanted to encourage others. I wanted to build a community. I wanted to share, faith with others, or maybe bring faith to those who never looked into it or have looked into it and decided they don't want to anymore, and or whatever the case. I just wanted to encourage others and somehow reach people through this podcast. And maybe for you, the change was that you wanted to start living, like a healthier lifestyle. You're gonna really stick to the diet. You're gonna be consistent in your workouts. Or maybe you're gonna finally quit your job because you're gonna start that business. You're gonna go all in, bet on yourself, and go on this business. Or maybe it was that you were going to leave that toxic relationship, that you are going to go and make that hard decision of moving forward, moving on. Um, and it's not going to be an easy journey for you. Whatever that change is, now that you've done it, now that you've taken the first step, now that you've taken action, we know that it's a long road ahead of us. It's not going to be easy. And if you have done that, like for myself, I've said that I was going to start this podcast, that I'm going to show up online. Now that we just know we want to do more, we want to make this change. How are we going to do it? How are we going to sustain it? So let's talk about those 4 simple changes that we can make now. Number 1, I think it's important to do a real assessment of where we currently are, where we are right now. And that's going to take humbling ourselves. It's going to take removing pride, and just be honest and truthful and have an accurate assessment of who you are right now, so that way you could know how far away you are or how close you are to this new you, to this new person that you want to become. You kind of need to know where your starting point is, so that way we could know what it might take to get to the new you, right? To get to the new us, to the new me. And I always want to let you know that these things, I will reference the Bible a lot, because although I want to make sure that there's always practical ways that I'm going to be sharing with you on here, this is first and foremost because I've gone deeper with my relationship with Jesus. And so when you ask him, he does give it. He does answer. Okay, so our number one is that we are going to have a true assessment of ourselves, right? And in your Bible, if you go in Romans chapter 12, verse 3, it says, "Because of the privilege and authority God has given me, I give each of you this warning. Don't think you are better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith God has given us." Don't you just love the Bible? I want to encourage you, if you don't read the Bible yet, I just want to tell you, there's just so much wisdom in the Bible. There's so much comfort and truth and mercy and love. Like now that I'm in it, I realize, gosh, this is what I've been missing all along. So that's my little Bible plug. But anyway, so Romans chapter 12, verse 3 said, "Don't think you are better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith God has given us." So that alone, right? Like, I think if that doesn't humble us, I don't know what does. It's very straightforward that, I think it's so important that we make that true assessment of ourselves. Where are we at in life? What, have that honest evaluation of yourself. And don't think you are better than you really are, because a lot of us, I think it's easier to say that, well, I'm not that bad. It's, I didn't murder someone or whatever. Like anyway, you get the point, that we are not always that truthful, because sometimes it just is not that easy, and I could speak from my own experience. I've always kind of thought, I like back then I used to be like a workaholic. And I've always thought, hey, it's not that bad, because I'm working so much, and that's for my family. That's worse than if I sat around, did nothing. At least I'm over here working a lot, and it's benefiting my family. When in fact, if I go and really search my heart and humble myself and do a true assessment of myself, then I'd realize that, hey, there's actually a lot of improvement that I could do within myself on overworking, on using work as an escape, or as a distraction, instead of facing the real things that I should be facing, right? So So if your change, for example, is that you want a healthier you in 2025, right? Like you want to now eat better and this and that and this and that. Have a true assessment of yourself. Like that was one of my um, changes that I wanted to do for myself in 2024. So I had to be honest and tell myself, I gotta stop making the excuse that I don't know how to cook. Okay, I get it. I don't know how to cook. Now what? Now, are we gonna learn? Or are we just gonna keep doing what I've always known to do, which is eat out and just have like a good home cooked meal when I know I'm gonna go to my mom's house or whatever the case, right? So, um, fortunately, with God's help, I've learned how to cook this year. So, um, you know, it's little changes. Anyway, it's important to know where you're starting. So, have a true assessment, humble yourself, and just be honest on where your starting point is so that the road to the new you is clear. Also, I feel like when we do that, when we humble ourselves and really search our hearts and do a true assessment of who we are right now, it also puts us in a position to um, be willing to receive feedback, feedback from other people or correction, even, right? In this journey of becoming the new you, becoming the new me. Um, it might the truth is I'm gonna get it wrong on some days, and I need to be humble enough to know that it's okay to receive correction, it's okay to receive um, feedback. So um, keep that in mind. Okay, so that's our first one. And so you might be thinking, May, if you know me and you're watching this video, if you're my friend or my family, I already know what you're thinking. You're thinking, May, what are you even saying? You are not humble. We know you. Who do you even think you are? Why should we even listen to you? Which brings me to our number two, our point number two. Okay. Number two is that we are going to guard our hearts. We're going to guard our hearts because in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, let's see. I have these cute little baby bookmarks that my sons made. They made a ton of it because I told them I need a lot for my Bible. So it's so cute. Anyway, Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. It determines the course of our life. Guard your heart. And I know I've heard that verse many, many, many times, but if I'm being honest, I don't guard my heart that well. I watch movies that I just think, okay, this is cool to watch right now. Everyone's talking about it. I kind of want to see what's going on, but it doesn't guard my heart. It poisons my thinking, or it makes me think that, or it makes me compare myself whenever I want something to do something new, like a new change, whatever the case. I like to share that with the people that I'm close to some friends, my coworkers, whoever. And people will always have their opinions, their feedbacks. And it's not that it's bad, but you just need to know that you need to be strong enough and mindful enough in guarding your heart, that you don't just allow anyone's point of view, that anyone's ideas of things or their own beliefs, or maybe your own, even your own self-limiting, maybe you yourself have negative things to say about yourself. So you need to guard your heart on that. maybe your own insecurities. Don't allow that to influence your heart, especially when you are in this journey of becoming a new version of you, a better version of you, or you want to make improvements in your life. That's gonna make some people around you, or a lot of people around you, maybe even the closest loved ones around you, to feel uncomfortable because they know you as your old self. And as you're becoming someone new, as you're pursuing this new you, it's just going to be uncomfortable. That I have to guard my heart from, because I've decided I'm going to show up in this podcast and talk about making changes in our lives. Talking about the Bible, talking about how God has changed me, and sharing that. My own insecurities and also some other people's comments had gotten to me, to where I would think, I don't have what it takes, or why should I be sharing things when, let's be honest, we know who I am and I'm not perfect and all of these things. And I know that. And until now, actually thinking about it kind of makes me still feel not qualified to make this change. But you know what? We are taking one step forward at a time. Staying grounded is what we learned last video, and that's what we're doing. Taking that action. And to do that, we are going to guard our hearts. Guard our hearts. So don't just listen or surround yourself with people that are going to talk negatively about your new vision of who you are. If you believe that you are now not going to be an employee, you're going to quit your day job and be a business owner, then surround yourself with other business owners, other entrepreneurs. And so guard your heart and protect what it is that clearly was so important to you that you've decided, I need to make this change. I need to take the step and become this new version of me. So don't lose sight of that. Don't lose sight of why you are doing that, and guard your heart from all the negative people around you, from the comments, from your own negative self-talk or your own insecurities. And I wish I would have taken this more seriously. Just on that note, that on Proverbs 18 verse 21, where it says death and life are in the power of the tongue, I wish that I've lived that that verse, like I've taken that more seriously, and that I've really thought about every word that comes out of my tongue, that it does have power. It does have power to bring life or death to someone, to your business, to your goals, to your family, to yourself. Be careful what you speak to yourself. I remember my friend and I, my sister-in-law and I would always joke about how we're not real nurses. Okay, let me tell you, I've been a nurse for more than 12 years, and she's been a nurse before me. So she's been a nurse even longer than that. And because she's in the OR, she's a nurse in the operating room, and I'm a nurse manager. So I'm in leadership. We joke to each other and say we're not real nurses, because we're not the kind of nurses that are in the ER, in the emergency and trauma, in ICU, where all the critical patients are at, right? So when we talk about like certain emergencies and things like that, we always, discredit ourselves and say, oh, don't ask us, we're not real nurses. And although that's a joke, Um, I wish I would have, I think eventually when I decided I wasn't gonna be, I'm gonna step back from becoming a nurse leader. Like I want to spend more time with my kids. So I'm going to do a regular um, nurse job, where I have patient care again. I really did doubt myself because I remembered all those times, all the stuff that I would say, like, I'm not a real nurse. Don't make me do it. I don't know how to do it. But in reality, I'm managing these situations day in and day out as a nurse manager. All the worst things that could happen, your supervisor needs to know, and they probably solve it for you all the time. When the nurse don't know anymore what to do, they go to their boss and ask, "What do I do?" And so I've been in that role so much that all you do is solve the problem. Why would I doubt myself? I doubt myself because I've told myself many times, I'm not a real nurse. I just worry about complaints. I just, worry about staffing, this and that. But that's not true. Day in and day out, I figure out how to solve nursing problems, right? So, and I am a real nurse. I tell myself that now. So I say that whole story just to tell you that there is real power in your words. So speak life to yourself. Don't be the one. You already can't control all the negative things that people around you will say to you. So at least control your own tongue and speak life to yourself. You already can't control all the negative things everyone will say, but you can guard your heart from it. So that's our number 2. All right, let's move on to our number 3. I think this is so important. So, you know, one, we've already humbled ourselves. We get in this position where we're okay to receive correction and feedback. We have a true assessment of who we are right now, where we are at in our lives, so that we could look and see where we're headed. We are going to speak life to ourselves. We're going to guard our hearts. We're going to be very mindful, very demure. Now what? Now what? What's our step 3? Step 3 is that we are going to transform how we think. How we think. So we're going to change our mindset. As I've been trying to just have better habits, that you are actually what you think. You are what you think. You are what you think. And also, I heard that from this guy, Erwin McManus. So I just want to say that guy's a genius. Anyway, he said, you are what you think. So we are going to have to change our mindset. So if you think that, like for my example, that I'm not a real nurse, then I go out there and provide patient care and kind of doubt myself, even though I know that, gosh, I've never had a job where, I don't know, I didn't do good. I usually, that's why I get the opportunity to get promoted to, like a higher position, is because I was doing so well in that role. And I should have embraced that instead of joking and saying, hey, I'm not really a critical care nurse. I don't really do the emergencies. I just solve problems and this and that, and diminish the kind of nurse that I am. And reality is, we're all different kinds of nurses. So we are what we think. Then as I start believing it, I start doing. So I think it's so important to start with your thoughts, with who you think you are, your mindset. We got to work on our thoughts so we could produce that kind of behavior that we expect from that person. In Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, it says, And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about these things that are excellent and worthy of praise. So I love that one when I talk about shifting or having like a mindset change, shifting the way you think, because the Bible said it that you got to fix your thoughts on what is true, what is honorable and right, what is pure. Okay, so if we want to transform our minds, we want to think that. We want to feed our minds with whatever this new you looks like. If the new you looks like a business owner, if this new you looks like a really healthy person, if this new you is 50 pounds, um, lighter, if this new you works out 5 days a week, if this new you is uh, a different kind of mom, a stay-at-home mom, if this new you is a millionaire, whatever the case may be, feed your mind that. Then you got to listen to podcasts that talks about that. You got to, if the new you, like for myself, I want to spread God's words and get deeper in my relationship with him, and so that I could um, spread it out more, then I need to start consuming it. Then I better read my Bible all the time. I better then surround myself with people who love Jesus, get in community that also want to go deeper in their relationship with the Lord and to spread his good news. If yours is to be healthy and or be a business owner or whatnot, then you surround yourself, you put yourself in that environment and you consume that. The other thing that I wanted to do for myself is, and that's why I talk about starting a business a lot, is I know I'm talking to you, but really I'm talking to myself, is that I wanted to get into real estate investing. And the moment I've attended just one conference about real estate investing and met all these people that are already doing real estate investing, right away I've seen the difference. Like all these questions I have, like one, I learned that it's even possible. But all these people are doing it. Why can't I? So um, when you transform your mind, you're gonna have to feed it. You're gonna have to exercise your brain, and you're gonna do that with by reading, consuming it, by listening to podcasts, surrounding yourself, any way that you can transform your mind. I've spent a long time in number 3 because it's so important, and that will lead us to number 4. Number 4 is that we are going to build consistent habits and be disciplined in doing these behaviors that our transformed mind have produced. So those behaviors we're going to have to be consistent in. So be careful to take your time with number 3, with transforming your mind, because then it will dictate, or your actions, your number 4 will depend on it. Okay? So if your thoughts are not good, the behaviors are not going to be good. It's going to show. If your thoughts are excellent and worthy of praise, then guess what? The behaviors will match that. And where did it say that in the Bible? In Matthew chapter 7, verse 17, it says, likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. So I say that we're going to build consistent habits, or that we're going to become disciplined now, because this is how we will earn our trust from ourselves. This is where we're going to gain that confidence. Um, one of my goals for 2024, like I mentioned, was that I was going to lose weight. I'm going to learn how to cook and consistently work out, right? I changed my mindset. All of these things, what do these people do? What do these healthy people do? They wake up early and they exercise. They set aside time, no matter what. And my excuse had always been that, well, I have 3 kids and I'm my job is very demanding and this and that and all of these things. And now I want to do business and this, all of these things, and I never have time to work out. And also, I don't know how to cook. So automatically, I can't do healthy meals because then I have to always buy it. It's very expensive, blah, blah, blah. All these excuses for myself. And so, what I learned I needed to do, one was change my mindset. What was it that all of these um, healthy people do? And specifically, I would search the ones that are working moms that had multiple children, small children too, because I felt like, oh, if they had older kids, um, you could kind of, those kids are already kind of independent. But when you have little kids, then they need more of you. They need so much. They take so much of your time. And what did these moms do? Guess what? They woke up at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. to give themselves that quiet time, that time to work out while everyone is asleep and that no one needed them. And the reality was that if I wanted to be that, I had to do that. And I learned that I actually love waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. when the world is quiet and that you could just kind of get in the zone, do your run, um, or, do your little workout, whatever the case may be. Um, you change your mindset and you start doing that. Whatever that behavior produced or whatever that thought produced, it's going to produce a behavior, whether it's good or not, right? So once you are once you are producing the fruit that you want, then you got to just stay consistent in it. If you are producing a fruit that you don't want, if you're producing behaviors that you don't want, then I would say you go back to number 3, that you have not yet changed your mindset. Not to say that you won't you won't fall back. We're not perfect. But I think it's a consistent change. You don't just change your mindset one time and you're good. I think you change your mindset from where you are. Like I said, your assessment of where you are at first, right? You just change your mindset enough to get to the next level. And then you might have a step back. Maybe you'll have 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that's okay. And as long as you're producing the behavior that you expect of this new you, that it's towards that direction. And that's a very hard thing to do, to be honest, to be consistent to doing it every day. Because the moment that I woke up at 4 and 5 and really had days where I loved running, days that I loved working out, then on the days that I don't love it, guess what? I was so hard on myself. I kind of told myself, you see, this is why. You see why you didn't lose weight all these many years? Because you're just not cut out for it. You just don't have what it takes. And then all these negative self-talk, right? And so that's why you need to go back and guard your heart from that. Guard your heart and speak life to yourself. Hey, and humble yourself and have a true assessment. You're right. You're right. You know what? You didn't wake up on time today. You're right. You didn't run like you said you will, but tomorrow you will. We're going to have grace for you today because not every day is going to be the same. And today you deserve that rest. So sleep in. That's okay. But tomorrow we're going to be better. Tomorrow we're going to run. And that's just kind of how it is. You just build that confidence, and you may not have that confidence in the beginning because you've never seen yourself do it, so you won't trust that you will do it. But the moment that you've done it once, then you're like, oh, I've done it. I've woken up at 4 and it was actually kind of nice. And then you do it again, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and you're consistent in it, and you just, all of a sudden, that's just a fruit that you bear. You just produce that behavior, and you just kind of stay consistent, and then you start maybe even loving it. Like for me, I would have never thought I would love running, and I didn't even start out running. I actually started out just walking. And, like I said, if you change your mindset, you'll see that it will produce a behavior that you want. And once you produce that behavior, you got to just stay consistent. Okay, friends, I think that this video ran really long, but I hope that it encouraged you, that you learned something from it. 4 things that we're going to remember for this, are 4 practical applications for this video on how we're going to sustain this new me that we are becoming. One is that we are going to humble ourselves and have a true assessment of who we are, where we are at, and so that we could see clearly where this new me, how far or how close we are from that new person. And then our number 2 is, what was our number 2? We're going to guard our hearts. So there's going to be a lot of negativity. There's a lot of people not going to be happy because you're making this change. You yourself might not be happy that you're doing all these changes. So guard your heart from your own insecurities, from your own negative self-talk, from people who may be so close and dear to you, that genuinely loves you, but maybe just out of love, they are saying some not good things. Guard your heart from that. Number 3, that you are going to transform your mind. Our mind will dictate our fruit, our behaviors, the actions that we're going to take. What we think, our thoughts, is what is going to dictate that. So number 3 is so important. So consume who you want to become, read about that, listen to it, connect with people that are already experts in that, get as much information as you can on that new you that you want to become, and marinate in that. Really transform your mindset. And that will lead you to number 4, where you will start producing these habits. You're going to start producing these behaviors. But the important thing for number 4 is that you are going to build consistency on it. You might, yes, produce these new behaviors. Now you wake up early. Now you know how to cook. Now you run even. But are you going to be consistent? That's what's going to dictate you getting closer to this new you. Now that I've started this podcast, am I going to continue? Am I going to just stop now that I've created 2 videos? Am I going to doubt myself? Am I going to keep not doubting myself? Right? That's probably the harder one. So I got to stay in this mindset that, you know what, we just do what we do. And that's who we're going to, the new us is a podcaster. This new me does podcasts and reads the Bible and lives out and shares the love of Jesus to everyone, and is confident about it, and is not doubting and self-loathing and all of these things, not insecure about it. So thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.